shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel Shalom, shalom bimromav, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
שלום במרומיו, מושיט ידיים אליו, לא הכל מובן מאליו, כי דברים מסתרים כמו ניסים ומעשים טובים. לא רוצה יותר לריב, לא רוצה יריב, לא רוצה מלחמה, השלום בדרך בלבי הנחמה. בואו ונזרוק את השנאה, כי אני ואתה רוצים את השלום. תנו לי להגשים את החלום, ועכשיו אני פונה אלייך ואליך, רואה את השלום בעינייך ועיניך. בוא נעשה שלום ונרים את המקום, כי היום אנו בונים את העתיד לילדים שלנו, ומי עוד יעשה את זה אם לא אנחנו? שלום, שלום במרומיו, והוא יעשה שלום עלינו.
עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, יעשה Shalom, shalom bimromav, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru
Baruch HaGeder Sheyiftach b'Adonai V'haya Adonai Mivtacho Bichu Adonai Hade'an Ki b'Adonai Tzur olamim V'yiftechu Shemecha Ki lo azavta dashecha Adonai Adonai chafetz leman tzidko Yagdil Torah ve'yadir Baruch HaGeder Asher yiftach b'Adonai v'haya Adonai mivtacho bichu Adonai כי ביד אדוני צור עולמים ויבטחו בך יעלה שמך כי לא עזבת דורשך אדוני אדוני חפץ למען צדקו ידיר תורה וידיר ידיר עליי אדוני חפץ למען צדקו ידיר תורה וידיר
Shabbat Shalom. Ooh, there it is. Thank you, Phil. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Just a few words of safety before we begin our service. For safety and courtesy, please silence your cell phones. And before the service begins, I would like to direct your attention to the emergency exits here and around the sanctuary. Look for the red or green exit lights over the doors behind me, behind you, to the sides, all the way in the back in the social hall. At the side of the sanctuary are the exits to the main doors through which you entered, and exit doors on either side of the lobby as well. There's a fire extinguisher and AED device near the water fountain in the hallway, and another fire extinguisher inside the doors to the sanctuary. Please take a moment to look around and find the exit nearest to you. Also, in front of you in the benches, there is a card with further safety information. In the very unlikely event that we must evacuate the building, we will meet at the southwest corner of the parking lot away from the building. Thank you very much for your attention, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Shabbat. I know most of you, I think all of you, know me, Cantor Paul Bush. serving with Rabbi Jonathan Kupitz, who is away this week, shepherding our teens on what is known as the Litakein Social Justice Weekend in Washington, D.C. My son Benjamin is with them, so everything seems to be going smoothly so far, which we're grateful to hear. I'll talk in just a couple of minutes about some special things that we'll be focusing on this evening, but just to kind of connect our spirits, both here in the sanctuary and virtually in our cyber shul, I'm going to invite us to turn to page 24 for Shalom Aleichem. If you're at home and you don't have a Siddur available, you can download one as an ebook on Amazon.com. Just search for Mishkan Tefillah in the Kindle store. You can also find links to that in the CCAR press. And that way you can participate with us. We use the edition for Shabbat, the Shabbat edition, so you'll be on the same page. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Malachei Hasharet. Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech. Malchei Hamlachim. HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I mentioned just a moment ago that there are some special features of this Shabbat. That's because the CCAR, the Central Conference of American Rabbis, and the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism have determined that this is Gun Violence Shabbat. The epidemic of gun violence facing the United States has gone on for far too long and has claimed far too many lives, many innocent lives. Gun violence occurs on a daily basis, impacting the lives of children and adults every day. We see this time and time again with mass shooting after mass shooting, as well as the gun deaths that occur each day with names that will never make the headlines. As a Reformed Jewish community, it is our responsibility to stand up and fight to end gun violence. Together we will enact change to hold our legislators accountable until there are no more shootings. I mentioned also just a moment ago that Rabbi and our teens, I think 19 of them, are in Washington, D.C., and though I'm not positive if history is any indicator, one of the things that our teens focus on when they go to Washington and they meet with the Religious Action Center personnel and they are educated about how to impact our legislative and other national leaders, one of the things that they have historically focused on is gun violence prevention. We're not going to talk politics today. We're not going to advocate or criticize any particular approach to this issue, but we will hold our spirits and our hearts as one as we acknowledge the terrible tragedies that have occurred, particularly in the United States, tragedies that have touched, I'm sure, people that we know, or even in my family's case, even our own family in recent years. So we'll have some responsive prayer that I'll invite you to take part in just a few moments, and we'll have a special teaching on this theme during that portion of our service. So I think before we go into Lecha Dodi and we welcome the Shabbat Queen, who always is an uplifting presence on this and every Shabbat, let's just take a few moments and maybe just turn our hearts towards those who are in need, and particularly those who have experienced these kinds of tragedy in their lives. We join together for Lecha Dodi, page 20 and 21. We'll do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Lecha lecha dodi, ligrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, ligrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, ligrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, ligrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishme'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila la 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 la, L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah, L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah. Likrat Shabbat lechuven elcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikadem nisucha, Sama'aseh b'makshavat chila la 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 la, L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah, L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah. Hit oreri, ki v'orech kumi ori, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla la 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 la, L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah. L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah. I invite you to rise and welcome the Shabbat bride. Ohi v'shalom, ateret pala, gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch amunei am segula, voi chala, voi chala. Ya la 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 l'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah. L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah la 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 la. L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah. L'chad odi, Ligrad kala, P'nei Shabbat ne'kabbalah. You're able to remain standing for Chatzi Kaddish and Baruch Hu. I invite you to turn to page 26. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chai echol v'yom echol, U'chayed echol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala, Ubizman kariv ve'imeru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'l'olmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yiromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma ve'imeru amen. We continue with our call to prayer, Baruch Hu, on page 28. Lai la 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 Lai la 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 la. Lai la 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 la. Lai la 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 la. Lai la 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 la. Lai la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. Last three lines in the Hebrew on page 30. El chai v'kayam, tamidim l'chaleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. Is there any volunteers from our community who would like to stand and lead us in the paragraph in English on the bottom of page 33, the Wisdom and Wonder portion? Any volunteers? Go for it. Big voice.
Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiness of your word, the living language which is its form? Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh Amo Israel.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. So I'm going to ask us all to turn to the handout. And invite you, after I say just a brief word of introduction, to join in the bolded portions, and I'll read the unbolded portions. Time and time again, we watch news stories about senseless acts of gun violence. We feel pain for those directly impacted by gun violence, our nation, and for ourselves. We feel pain for those who have been attacked and sorrow for the friends and families affected. As we recite the Shema together in a moment, we affirm that we are one people and feel the pain of all people together. A prayer for preventing gun violence. V'dirshu et shalom ha'ir asher higleti etchem shama v'hitpalalu ve'ada el Adonai ki vishloma yiyeh lachem shalom. And seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried, and pray for it, for in her peace you shall have peace. From Jeremiah 29:7. Together, guardian of life, liberty, and the promise of peace, may our nation always merit your protection. We recognize that gun freedoms in our nation have resulted in too many losing the freedom to full lives. We know that peace anywhere might be shattered in a moment, but we know too that many in this nation rarely experience the safety some of us take for granted. Help us to recall, as the prophet Jeremiah taught, that we must seek the peace of the city, recognizing how our peace is tied up in that of the city where we find ourselves. The words of Isaiah remind us to share our bread, clothe the naked, and unlock the fetters of wickedness in this community and in our nation. In this prayer, we focus on one common affliction of the soul. Among us are those for whom gun violence is a policy issue. Grant our advocates light and wisdom, and help us to support their efforts. Among us are those for whom gun violence is a real and present, if occasional, danger. Grant the fearful your sheltering presence and help us all to understand and address this burden. Among us are healers and others who deal directly with the aftermath of gun violence. Grant the responders strength in turmoil and help us all to support their work. Among us are those who mourn victims of gun violence. Grant the mourners comfort and help us all to better support them in their grief and cries for justice. Among us are those who have experienced gun violence. Grant the shattered healing and help us to recognize this trauma and its cost. Keep us ever aware of the wonder of humanity and of threats to the sanctity of human life. Teach us to recognize the effect of gun violence on so many of our nation's children. May we never be lazy in the work of peace or complacent in our relative safety. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. And may we acknowledge threats, some of our own making, to those ideals. Our leaders' wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice, compassion, and clear knowledge of the cost of gun violence. Help us to appreciate one another and the variety of viewpoints in this community and beyond, and teach us to respect the many ways we may serve you. Then, we have been taught, shall our light rise in the darkness, and this gloom be as the noonday. Shine your light through the gloom. Heal us in our local and national and global communities. Lead us towards homes free of affliction and strife, bodies and spirits untrammeled by gun violence. Help us to be the change we hope to see soon and in our lifetimes. And we say together, Amen. We rise, if it is your custom, for the words of Shema, page 34 and 35. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. You may be seated. Page 37, together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today and teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Last paragraph on 36. Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hodseti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem lelo Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn together to page 40 and 41 for Michamocha. Michamocha Bailim Adonai, Michamocha Nedar Bakodesh Nora Tehilo Osefala Nora Tehilo Osefala Osefala Malchut Echara Uvanecha Bokei Ayam Livnei Moshe Miriam Zezeli Anu Ve'ameru Adonai Imloch Leolam Va'ed Leolam Va'ed Michamocha Bailim Adonai Michamocha Nedar Bakodesh Nora Tehilot Osefala Nora Tehilot Osefala V'ne'emar Ki v'Adonai et Yaakov Ugalo me'ad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Israel. We see comfort through the words of Hashkivenu on page 42 as we ask the Holy One place a Sukkot Shlomecha not only over us as we lay our heads to rest, but over all those who live in fear and who, without any preparation, fall victim to the types of violence that we've talked about this evening and will continue to talk about as our service continues. Page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Ushmor tzedenu uvoenu Ufros alenu Sukkot lecha u'shmor tzeitenu u'oenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim Let's read together on the bottom of page 44 as we express our gratitude for the gift of Shabbat. Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. We continue into our Amidah, our Tefillah, our standing prayer. We'll begin on page 46 with Adonai Svatai. If you're comfortable rising, I invite you to do so at this time. And then we'll continue through page 50, 52, and then we'll have a moment for silent reflection, and then Dr. Polavoy will offer a musical meditation. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Ata, Rav Lehoshia, Mashiva Ruach, U'morid Agashem, Mechalkel Chaim B'chesed, Mechayei HaKol B'rakamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'rofech Olim, U'matir Asurim, U'mkayem Emunato L'shenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, U'mido Melach, Melech Memid, מחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. Page 52. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please take a moment for private reflection, and you may be seated when you've completed your own tefillah.
Shabbat Shalom to everybody out there. Also, sorry. As I was saying, Shabbat Shalom to everybody out there and to everyone out on Cyber Shul watching virtually. So I was trying to think of what would be appropriate for this time of year, and of course, we're just a couple of weeks away from celebrating Hanukkah with its emphasis on miracles and light. So I decided to draw from the musical theater and specifically choose the song Miracle of Miracles from Fiddler on the Roof. So I'm not going to sing it, unfortunately. You don't have that pleasure. So feel free to sing it to yourself silently. Many of you know the words to that song. It's very well known. And this is a song that, while conveying the joy of the tailor, Motel Kamzoil, on meeting his future bride, it highlights the miracles that happened in the Bible, but also could very well occur in our own time. In fact, miracles happen every day. We just take them for granted. So in the song, when the lyrics mention the miracle that David slew Goliath and that God parted the waters of the Red Sea, you could also make a point that just observing the wonders of nature is something that is a miracle that we too often take for granted. So, in fact, I would submit to you all that with a little bit of revision of the lyrics, you could make Miracle of Miracles into a Hanukkah song. So here is Miracle of Miracles from Fiddler on the Roof, in my semi-arrangement of it.
Thank you so much, Randy. So Jaden Turner is the Religious Action Center's gun violence prevention intern. She's been active in the gun violence prevention movement since 8th grade when her cousin Alyssa was killed in the Parkland shooting. Jane has been actively involved in school safety work with Make Our Schools Safe and gun violence prevention work with Students Demand Action. And with NIFTY, she served as the NIFTY Southern Region's Social Action Vice President last year. In addition to advocacy, she has also done research on the impact of the media and school shootings and hopes to continue her research in the future, and she's currently a freshman in college. I have no doubt that she's likely someone that our teens from Temple Beth Israel will meet when they visit the Religious Action Center this weekend. She wrote a blog post, which I think sums up better than I ever could the concerns that are present in her heart, and also serves as a call to action to all of us on this gun violence prevention Shabbat. These are her words. In the aftermath of a mass shooting, we see headline after headline proclaiming the tragedy. Names and photos flood our national consciousness. We hear painful, passionate testimony from victims' families on why we need change, but little seems to change. We live in a country that has become numb to the impact of gun violence. The victims have become statistics: 106 nameless, faceless people killed by gun violence each day. It has become too many names to remember. The stories and locations all blend together, so it becomes difficult to remember and feel. The tragedy strikes every day, but the action takes years and only seems to happen when a highly covered mass shooting occurs. It took almost 30 years for meaningful federal-level gun violence prevention legislation to be passed, with Congress passing the bipartisan Safer Communities Act in June of this year. But this isn't enough, and it won't be enough until we can say, not one more. This is Gun Violence Prevention Shabbat, and in the Torah portion, it is the week we study Parashat Vayishlach. In Vayishlach, Jacob wrestles with an angel to receive protection from a battle he foresees coming with his brother. Jacob fortunately evades that battle with his brother. Esau, his brother, rejoices and embraces Jacob as soon as he sees him. Though Esau and Jacob had long been divided, they quickly came together and are willing to sacrifice in order to protect each other. In the fight against gun violence, we can emulate Jacob and Esau and compromise to protect not just our loved ones, but all who have been impacted by gun violence or who may one day be impacted by gun violence. Although this may never be perfect, we can find common ground and come together, as was done for the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, engaging people on both sides of the political spectrum. This epidemic of gun violence will not end unless we are all willing to sacrifice before it is too late. We must remember that we are fighting for ourselves, our loved ones, and our friends. On Wednesday, February 15th, 2018, my parents told me that my cousin Alyssa Al-Khadaf had been killed on Valentine's Day during the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. The murderer took the lives of 17 innocent students and staff members, and I'll name them: Alyssa Al-Khadaf, Scott Beagle, Martin Duque, Nicholas Dworet, Aaron Feist, Jamie Gutenberg, Chris Hickson, Luke Hoyer, Kara Lochran, Gina Montalto, Joaquin Olivar, Elena Petty, Meadow Pollock, Helena Ramsey, Alex Schachter, Carmen Schentrup, and Peter Wang. I remember each excruciating detail, the information given to me, where I was, what I was wearing, and the positions that my parents were sitting in. I knew from the second I looked at my dad's face that something was wrong. I remember not knowing how to respond. The longer we delay comprehensive common sense gun violence prevention legislation, the more people will be affected and traumatized by losing their loved ones, reliving the awful memory every time there's another mass shooting. It's not enough for only those with personal stories of gun violence to fight for change. It is important that everyone gets involved before they themselves know what it feels like to find out a loved one has been killed by gun violence. At 14 years old, I knew that I had to do something to make a difference so that no one else would know the pain I felt when my cousin was killed. Since 2018, I've been given the opportunity to speak in front of thousands of people, lobby at both state and federal levels, write articles, and be interviewed by numerous news organizations. Over the summer, I witnessed New York State Governor Kathy Hochul sign Alyssa's Law, a bill that I worked on with my state senator and assemblyman to draft, pass through a committee, secure a vote, and send to the governor's desk. Alyssa's Law puts silent panic alarms in public elementary and secondary schools so that law enforcement can respond faster in the case of non-evacuation emergency, such as an active shooter. Working on this law helped me honor Alyssa's life and legacy with action by protecting school communities. However, each time I regret not getting involved sooner. The stories that I tell of Alyssa should be everyday memories, talking on the phone, texting each other, photos of snowy days, and reminiscing about memories of the beach. I will always cherish the memories that Alyssa and I had for the rest of my life, and I will fight to make a change so that no one else has only memories of a cousin rather than their cousin herself. Each week, someone is reciting Kaddish for their mother, father, daughter, son, sister, brother, cousin, aunt, or uncle, remembering their name, legacy, and stories. It's time this changes. Instead of remembrance candles, these people should be lighting Shabbat candles with loved ones and creating new memories. It's not enough for only friends and family of shooting victims to stand up and make a change. We all need to do something to make a change, starting with remembering the victims, their names, and their stories. In remembrance of the 10th anniversary of the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School on December 14th, 2012, there will be a national vigil for all victims of gun violence, which took place earlier this week. In between the vigil and the anniversary, we as Reformed Jews in Reformed Jewish congregations and communities of the country are commemorating gun violence prevention Shabbat this evening, and we honor all victims of gun violence. It is important for us to remember the victims and to take action on behalf of those who can. There are many ways to get involved, and I invite all of us to look at our TBI website or TBI Facebook page over this weekend for links and resources that you can use to get involved yourselves. Mostly the words of Jaden Turner, with a little bit of my own words at the end there. Shabbat Shalom. As we customarily do at this time, we hold in our hearts all those who are struggling, all those who are suffering, all those whose body, mind, and spirit is crying out for love and support. Of course, we hold anyone recovering from the effects of gun violence or the loving family members who have been touched by such actions. As we say our Misha Berach prayers, we join together on page 253 in our Siddur. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. We ask for prayers for healing for Rebecca Gilman, Hannah Fields Austin, Sue Toback, Rosalind Lefkowitz, Helen Weinfeld, Pam Poliakov, Connie Shapiro, Kathy Blumenfeld, Caitlin Antrim, Jennifer Rudin, Bran Holland, Serena Postal, Bobby Kay, Robert Strober, Marilyn Lubarsky, Ellery Einstein, Patricia Kramer, Joan Morse, Nomi Kravitz, Craig Sachs, Simon Saul, Myra White, Lori Snyder, Charity Rezadeh, Mike Klein, Lily Morrison, Barbara Fass, Joel Beasy, Burton Gershman, David Bush, Howard Bush, Lawson Spicer, Mark Fenton, Gloria Foster, Rita Warshaw, Ira Quatcher, Robert Gerard, Stephen Arts, Adele Harris, Brenda Fong Gerard, Ron Friedlander, Harvey Sherman, Jan Marcus, Fred Fable, Steve Sage, Marla Fregroso, Candy Stevens, Eva Laxon, Mark Fenton, Martin Cole, Noah Teague, Al Shapiro, Charles Nelson, Jeff Nelson, Oran Resnick, James Stead, Max Scriva, Larry Kubel, Jayla Kubel, Rick Duran, Gina Eli, and Robert Waldman. If you have a name you'd like to add, please do so as I come by your row. Mishabeirach imotenu kor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. I'd like to invite Gary Gilbert, a member of our Board of Trustees, to share some announcements as we move to the close of our service.
Thank you, Cantor. Shabbat Shalom again. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, thank you to Cantor Bush for leading us in tefillah this evening. Thank you also for the very inspiring and difficult words that he shared with us, and also for directing our attention to this issue of tremendous importance in our community and our country. Thank you to Dr. Randy Polivoy for his inspiring and lovely music, and for reconnecting us with the great tradition of Fiddler on the Roof. And much appreciation to our technology guru this evening, Phil Mendelson, on the technology keyboard over there. Thank you to our ONEG committee for donating our delicious items at tonight's ONEG. And thank you to our greeters this evening, including Kylie Sykes, Sarah Truitt, Judy Rose, Sharon Regalado. We have a very active and engaged community, and I just want to point out a few upcoming events in our community, starting this Sunday, where you have the opportunity to attend the Festival of Jewish Music, our annual holiday singing festival, which will include our regional choir, Kol HaEmek, along with, I understand, some special guest stars. That will take place here at Temple Beth Israel at 3 p.m., and that event will take place both in person here and also online.
Yeah, on the regular TBI outlets.
There you go, and also online in the regular TBI outlets. Secondly, later this month, on December 23rd, we will hold our annual Hanukkah Celebration Shabbat, beginning at 6:15 p.m. with what else? A latke dinner, followed by tefillah with candle lighting at 7:30 p.m. And are people to bring their menorah? And bring your Hanukkiot to help lighten up our sanctuary. And finally, come celebrate the true meaning of the holiday season. And what is that? Tradition. With our communal showing coming back after many years of absence, our communal showing of Fiddler on the Roof at the Laemmle Theater in Claremont. This will begin, of course, on December 24th, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Contact the office. Oh, is it 7 p.m.? Okay. It changed. At 7 p.m., so you can go to bed even earlier then. Contact the office for more details. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Gary. Yes, so Fiddler's at 7, and if you look at the TBI Facebook page, as of earlier this afternoon, you now have a link to get your special TBI-sponsored discount tickets. That's right, friends. Save over 1/3 off the box office price by going to our special Eventbrite link, which you'll find on the Facebook page. It will also be in our TBI update coming this Thursday, and there'll be a link on the website very shortly. So, yeah, come join us. The Laemmles have been more than gracious in returning Fiddler to our community. We not only the mitzvah of joining together on December 24th, but also whatever we can do to support the Laemmle family in their quest to keep independent cinema theaters alive in our area. I encourage us all to do. The only other thing I would mention that Gary was not on Gary's top 3 was that next Sunday afternoon, that's the 18th of December, which is just prior to lighting of the first candles for our Hanukkah festival, women of TBI will be sponsoring a hike with Rabbi and myself at the the California Botanical Garden, which is right just north of Foothill Boulevard, entrance by the Claremont School of Theology campus on the north side. We'll do a little Hanukkah hike through the gardens, have some stops for a little, some meditative connection there, and it's open to all, and we'll gather, I believe, at 2 p.m. At the entrance to the garden. Admission is an individual responsibility, but it's reasonable, and like we support the Laemmles, may we all find ways to support an incredible resource like the California Botanical Garden in our community. So thank you. We'll move to close our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282 in our Sidurim. I invite you to rise.
הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Excuse me.
We take this opportunity to remember those who have passed from our midst in recent days, as well as those who have died at this season in years past. As we read Mourner's Kaddish, let us remember to include in our prayers all those who have been killed by senseless gun violence. Let us remember the parents who will not see their children grow up. Let us remember the children who will never grow up. Let us remember the siblings for whom an empty seat reminds us of their absence, the friend who no longer calls. And let us remember those for whom there is no one left to say Kaddish. We are taught never to grieve alone, for we are made stronger by the bonds of community. It is our charge to share in grief of those around us, so that none of us may suffer loss in solitude. On this Shabbat, we particularly remember members of our community who have passed. Edmund Joseph Beardsley, father of Ed Beardsley. Doug Farrell, husband of Robin Farrell. Clara Zink, mother of Carrie Knoll. We also remember the anniversaries of the deaths of Yael Velenkoff, Morton W. Feynman, Jane Goodman O'Doul, Harold E. Horwitz, Karen Sorois, Elliot David Wine, Helen Fink, Jerry Fitzgerald, Sally Wexler, Ellen Wohl, Harry Wohl, Herman Bleich, Philip Finkelstein, Samuel Maya, Jerry Robinson, Sadie Deutsch, Ethel Dubin, Melvin Lipset, Rosamund Spicer, Kathy Wainstock, George Baldus, Rayleigh Fenning, Molly Kerber, Toby Schulman, Edward Vichon, Paul Goldberg, Barbara Silks, Sidney Singer, Seymour Friedman, Hugh Judd, and Charlie Saul. If you have a name that you would like to add or correct a name I may have mispronounced, please do so. Thank you, Paul. For those of you who didn't hear, 2,335? Those are the number of the brave ones of our country who died in the attack on Pearl Harbor, whose anniversary we also commemorated this week. If you are in a time of mourning or observing a yurtzeit, I invite you to rise at this time. And if it is your custom, I invite those also to rise in love and support of those who mourn as we join together in the words of Kaddish Yatom on page 294 in our Sidurim. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael b'agala v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam ulon me'al maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dikudsha b'richu La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshrei tevel v'imru. Amen. We'll conclude with the final paragraph of Adon Olam, on page 321. Sorry, I have to reconnect myself here. Sounds right.
Be'ado av kidruchi be'eni shan ve'a'ira be'imruchi geliati biati Adonai li velo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand. Beyado. Beyado of Biduki. Eini Shan Ve'ahira. Be'imruchi geviati. Adonai li velo ira. Be'imruchi geviati. Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us in the sanctuary, for being here with us in Cyber Shul online. I hope everyone has a peaceful and restful Shabbat. And if you're with us here, we will join together for Kiddush and Mosi in the social hall. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Phil again and to Randy for helping lead tonight's service.